What's going on, everybody? It's me, Tony, and we're about to wrap up the NFL draft segments that we have. So, you know what we're doing? We're going to be like your mama and walk up and talk about giving my cornerback. All right, so let's go talk about these cornerback and safeties coming up in the draft. I think this is a nice way to end this series, talking about the secondary. I will say that I know a guy personally that does not like the first guy I'm about to talk about. But before we do all that, and I forget like I normally do, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, tell me where I'm wrong, and I know you're wrong because I'm never wrong. So let's talk about who I think is the best secondary player at all. And yes, we're lumping the DBs, cornerbacks, whatever you want to call them, and the safeties, strong and free, in one category. And who I think is by far the best secondary player in this draft is Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. And I know firsthand that somebody that I know very well cannot stand this guy, but he cannot hate on this guy because of his talent. His combination of instincts, explosiveness, his athletic ability makes him, in my opinion, the best secondary player in this draft. In the next draft, also, he don't even if he was even in college next year, he would still be the best player. Just think about this: in 24 games for Notre Dame, overrated Notre Dame, he posted 63 tackles, 4.5 were for loss, to go with 5 interceptions and 12 pass deflections as a safety. That's not what the safety's supposed to do. He's supposed to be back there as to help the cornerbacks, but he plays like a cornerback. 6'4", 220 pounds. He is a physical specimen at the position. There are linebackers playing the game that don't possess the same size as Hamilton does, and that is saying a lot. We had a guy who reminded me of a linebacker when he played for my Falcons. We won't talk about him because he went to the Cowboys. Oh, Buster. I will say that one thing I really, really like about this guy is his catch radius and his pass deflection radius. If he can get to it, he's going to stop it. If he can't get to it, he's going to get to it and he's going to stop it. The way he could deduce the plays from the safety position is amazing. I haven't seen that in a while since Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, safeties like that. That's the level that I'm thinking this guy could get on. Additionally, he does have the ability with his long arms to reach around the defender if they catch the ball and try to knock it out of the grass. Does he have a weakness? Never saw one, except he played for Notre Dame. That's the only weakness I could think of. But besides that, by far, first round pick, top 5 pick, yes. Don't go to 8. We need defense line. We don't need safety. So with that being said, top player in the draft for the secondary is by far Kyle Hamilton. Now let's start this run of cornerbacks because Kyle Hamilton is the only safety that I think is worthy of being in the top 5. But this next guy is no slouch, and that's Sauce. That's how we go. That's how we name him. That's how we go talk to him. Sauce Gardner, cornerback from Cincinnati. And I'm not going to put in like I normally do, the level of competition, because we saw him play against Alabama. They had to run the ball because they could not throw it on him. And he has a running mate on the other side. But Sauce Gardner by far is the Dion of this draft. I said it. He's the number 1 cornerback for a reason. I want you to just think about what this guy did. He did in 3 years. His 3-year career at Cincinnati, he did not allow a single touchdown. Now, mind you, he played against Georgia in a bowl game. He played against Alabama in a bowl game, but didn't give up a touchdown. And he hasn't allowed a single season completion rate on his side above 50% in his career. 6'3", 33.5-inch arm span. Just his sheer size is imposing to receivers. He has the speed at 4.4. That alone, if you just watch his combine, everything that he did at the combine, he outperformed what people thought he was going to do. Now, why he isn't the most graceful mover, and he could be a tad bit slow at flipping his hips, which as a cornerback, people who play the position know your hips, that's where it is with you. You need that constant movement. Now he's not fluid with that yet, but you combine his hand activity, his demeanor, his eye discipline, that's all top notch. That makes up for it. He is built, I honestly think, for more of a zone than a man. He can play a good man, but I think he's better in the zone just because the way he can eye judge the field is second to none. That's enough about Sauce, though. Top 5 pick. Yes. Let's go to another solid cornerback, and that's Andrew Booth Jr. from Cleveland. I mean, Clemson. I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about Deshaun Watson and that shenanigans. Again, just basing on his attributes alone, he would be the number 1 cornerback in this draft if it wasn't for Sauce. His explosiveness is unmatched. He can mirror his opponent on any move. He fits into any scheme whatsoever. The only thing against him, 1 year as a starter. I saw him up close and personal when Georgia played Clemson in the first game of the year. That's not saying much because we had JT at quarterback and he sucks albino monkey feet, but that's another story. I was still impressed with what I saw him shutting down George Pickens, who is, considered one of the top receivers in the draft. Pickens had problems with this guy. The only thing that I think is a negative against him is his deep speed. If you get behind him, he doesn't have that catch-up ability. If you get behind him, he's burned. But again, you put him with a good safety, I think it should be fine. His quick feet make up for his lack of downfield speed. So late first round, maybe early second at the latest. Let's move on to Cornerback University. Derek Stingley from LSU. If anything we know about LSU, they put out cornerbacks. They put out good cornerbacks. Now, while I think last year, if he would have came out, he would have been the number 1 overall cornerback. He did sit out this year, which is why I don't have him above Sauce or Andrew Booth. I think he's still one of the better corners, but he did practice. He didn't play. And we all know it's a difference between the two. But I still think that he has the ceiling to become a true shutdown corner. But we always talk about the ceiling. If you look at his floor, that means as low as he can go. I'm concerned about his injuries history. He's kind of inconsistent when he does get on the field. He does have a little bit slower awareness than Booth and Sauce. I'm not saying it can't be corrected, but if he lives up to his potential, whoever gets this guy, you're not going to be disappointed. There are only a few corners, in my opinion, that can completely shut down their opponents, like Dion completely shut down his side of the field. If Stingley comes back healthy and turns into the corner that he was when he was playing at LSU, I think he'll be a steal. I think he could be better than Sauce, but just what he did, just because of his injuries, I can't put him out there right now. I think he would best be fit in man coverage. I think that's where he excels. I don't think he likes zone. He likes the physicality of man to man. Now, let's talk about one of the guys I want to talk about just because I want to take a jab at one of my co-hosts. Trent McDuffie from Washington. Why am I taking a jab at the guy I co-host with? Because he's a Washington State fan. And this guy that just was brought to my attention was supposed to go to Washington State with his running mate, Kyler Gordon, at cornerback. So he's salty. I don't care. Trent McDuffie is the reason Kyler Gordon isn't the best cornerback on his team. Washington had arguably the 2 best cornerbacks in college football. Trent is agile. He possesses probably the best acceleration in the class. He's one of the better tacklers. Add on the instincts that this guy has, and you have a complete corner. I think he's more tailor-made for a zone-heavy system, not so much of man-to-man. Only because he's 5'10", he's not as tall as the other receivers who can man up with the receivers. I think he needs to go back to his zone. He's still a day 1 starter. But okay, with that being said, these top 5, they're all getting drafted. Even the ones I didn't mention are going to get drafted. We're going to throw some of them out. Like I said, Kyler Gordon was Trent's running mate. You got Elam from Florida. Another safety I would like to throw a shout out was Daxton Hill and Lewis Seen. Hill was from Michigan. Lewis Seen was from the champion Georgia Bulldogs. And Roger McCreary from Auburn. And that pretty much does it for my list. I need you to check out the rest of our videos. Tell me what you like. Hit us in the comments. Tell me how great I am. I love